Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Just wait for this thing to start. Go your own way, man. Go your own way. There's my there's my sound check, and everything's okay. Today we're going to talk about venomous thoughts. We're going to talk about Mgtow. We're going to talk about addiction. We're going to talk about some things that happen to men, blue pill men, that they don't understand during separation anxiety. We've seen this lately with Eli, and he was going through separation anxiety and acting like a total whatever it was. So we're going to talk about venomous thoughts. We're going to talk about snake eggs. Some of you know I used to be a drug addiction counselor, way back in the day. But one of the things I went to was it was one of those seminars you had to go through, and a doctor from Cleveland was speaking, and he was talking about snake eggs, and he was talking about alcoholism and snake eggs and the things in a man's mind. What you're talking about when you talk about snake eggs is you're talking about a delusion that starts off as a little egg in your brain and becomes a full-out delusion, a venomous snake that bites. That's what we see a lot in Mgtow. I went to this thing, and he was talking about these. I couldn't put two and two together. It was hard for me at that time to, I was a little blue pill at that time. So where were these delusional thoughts? And by the end of the seminar, it was about 2 hours to 4 hours long. I can't remember, somewhere around 3:15 or something. You know how those things go. Somewhere around that time, I linked the two together, and I looked over to the person that I was at the seminar with, and I says, 60% of men in AA don't have drinking problems. They have female problems. They have relationship problems, which leads them to drinking. And that's why this doctor was talking about these venomous thoughts, these snake eggs that most alcoholics carry around. He was very vitriolic when he talked about, I suppose he had a experience with a delusional thought that manifested into it the world as a reality through a bad action from an alcoholic going through a breakup, separation anxiety, those things we see in Mgtow from other men, and we call them simping, and there's a lot of different terminology and phrases that go along with that kind of thinking when you're going through that separation anxiety. I just witnessed this. I brought it up because I was working with a young man, and I just witnessed him get into his probably his final thing in life, where he made a mistake and got pulled over and got an OVI or a DWI, and he fell off the wagon. He was using heroin, and he fell off the wagon. And when I asked him why he had done it, well, we worked so hard. We work so hard getting him back working. We work so hard getting him back to a good mental place. We work so hard doing all those things. And some people have actually asked me, Joe, in your real life, do you counsel on a Mgtow basis, or do you, when you talk, do you talk to people on a Mgtow basis? And I often said, no, I don't do this Mgtow thing outside here. I don't preach it to people. I don't tell boys not to date, not to do those things, because that's a decision they have to make in life for themselves. But in this instance, is my failure to do this has cost now, and I wanted to talk about it because I feel terrible about this. He was going through a 10-year relationship, and one of the things in his tenure there was that there was breakups during that, and what seemed to coincide during all those breakups was bad behavior, driving while intoxicated, drug use, and all those things. Separation anxiety will drive men to to horrible things. And we've all seen this in our lives with young men. When they go through a breakup, they're experiencing that separation anxiety, and that's the reduction of the bacteria in your brain and the turning off of all those things that you're addicted, the love chemicals. There's a lot of peptides and chemicals that are 10 times more addictive than heroin in your brain that you experience when you experience with a woman. That's why I say it's sort of I can't use the word or else they'll take me down, but it's very addictive, and men fall under these addictive things, and they get addicted to love, and they get addicted to women, and they get addicted to the things, and they don't know how to stop. But when there's a forced stop, or what we call incel, or involuntary celibacy. And involuntary celibacy happens to all men at a certain point, unless you're like Don Johnson and you're so just damn Matthew McConaughey and you're just so darn good looking that you go from one woman to the next within days. You're going to have to go through separation anxiety, which, will be, hello, Savage, hello, Cisco, which will, if you're an ordinary guy and you're doing that dating thing, it's going to be months sometimes before you land in what you think is a decent relationship. I dated a long time. I know how those things go. There's months and months in between, and you have to fix yourself, and you have to present yourself, and you have to do those things. And you do all those things for one reason, because you're addicted to the chemical highs that go along with being with a female from their pheromones. Their pheromones set off they set off things in your brain that feel good. And it's like being addicted to drugs. It's like alcoholism. It's like being addicted to morphine or heroin. And some guys land during those those periods of time when they're going through the separation anxiety, they're going through withdrawal symptoms. And that's what we call simping. The simping, the thirst, the hunger, they can't stop, and there's nothing they can do to end that horrible thing that's going on in their head. And they're holding on to these snake eggs, these delusions that in these relationships, or these poisonous thoughts that they're having. First of all, I think most of these guys think they're a victim. They're a victim of some feminism. They're a victim, and that's why I say never blame it on feminism. You're a victim of your own desire. You're a victim of your own self-loathing. So they blame it on other people and circumstances in their lives and problems. And most of the time they cause problems for themselves with this victim mentality. They're going through this separation. They're drinking. They're smoking pot. They're doing heroin. And they're self-loathing, and they're victim. Oh, boo-hoo! She left me for another guy and all that. I think that's the worst thing in the whole world. When I see it, it makes me sick to my stomach. But I know these guys go through it, and we just seen that with Eli. It was boo-hoo. For some reason, he was going to be the white knight. He was going to come and save that young lady, but she had no intention of sticking around. She was leaving. She was gynocentrism, hypergamy, the monkey branch, and whatever you want to call it. This is the way they act in this world now. You can't depend on a relationship, but you have to go through something if you're going to involve yourself in these things. You're gonna have to go through something after that. You're gonna have to go through separation anxiety, which might blow your head off, or start taking drugs and doing addiction. You're holding on to those thoughts, those venomous thoughts. And the first thing you have to shred from your life and clip those things is those venomous thoughts. And I try to teach how to do that in here. And I try to teach men what happens, but most men don't want to hear it, and that's where the ego kicks in. They don't want to hear it. They just have this thought that they're just going to move and pee away their way out of this. But adding more heroin, a little bit of more heroin to stop the heroin withdrawal is never a good idea. You don't give someone a chunk of crack because they're going through crack addiction just to relieve the pain. No, it's something you got to go through. That's the way it is in Mgtow too. If you want to become a monk and you want to become a better man, you're going to have to go through these things. Like with Eli, we've seen he was thinking that he could change another person. He could change his woman. He can change the way you can't change nobody in this world. The only thing you can do is change yourself. There's constant thoughts and of resistance that go along with this, removing yourself from this addiction out there. What if I do this? What if I do this? There's these where the snake eggs come in, and when you're wounded and when you're a wounded male and you're looking at all those snake eggs, those delusions start growing and they start hatching. If I do this, I can change this person. I can do this, and then it's not going to happen. The only person you can work on is yourself. Yeah, there's a lot of delusional thinking. The grass is always greener on the other side. Those relationships were so much better when in fact they were so much worse for you, and you could have saved money and become a Mgtow and started your future, but you were spending it on something that you were addicted to. You never have true, I told most people is during these times of anxiety, you never have any expectations of any other people. I have very low expectations of people because then they don't disappoint me. That's what I say. Low expectations of other people lead to non-disappointment in relationships and all those things I've been in life. Never expect anything, and at the end of my dating career, whatever you want to call it, my PUAing or whatever, I realized that my expectations of people are so low that I just gave up on the whole thing, because nobody we don't raise the bar in relationships, we lower the bar. But and they're trying to get that person that you can say is a perfect person, so you lower the bar. She's a little bit fat, she's got tattoos, she's got red hair. We see it all the time, guys lowering the bar, and then, oh, she's the perfect woman. No, you just lowered the bar on that, because there is no expectation up here. There is no expectation. None of them. There are no walls. None of them are going to meet those grandeur expectations of your mind. We talked about that a little while ago. Men grow up these grandeur expectations. Freud talked about this too. He talked about it with the breast. You have a picture in your mind of the breasts. That's your mental image of the perfect breast with a woman. But every time you see a pair, none of them, not one of them measure up to the expectations that you have in your mind. But that's what men do. Them are the delusional little thoughts, the delusional little things, them snake eggs that are getting ready to hatch all over your life. All over your life. And it starts with one thing. It starts with addiction. 60% of the men in Alcoholics Anonymous don't have alcohol problems. They have woman problems. I could cure right now. I could cure 60% of the men in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's so braggadocious that the community would look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm not allowed to share this stuff in Mgtow because they won't let it. Because if there was a guy that would cure 60% of them, he would be the next Bill or Bob. You know, he would be that next hero. They would write books about me, but they won't let that happen, because they like the most programs rely on a program of recidivism, and that's from mental health. And this is why I got out of it. This is the big discussions that we had at the end of my career. It's like, why I can't do this, because this thing ends up, you people want people to be recidivism to generate their money. They need these guys to come back. They need these guys to go out and have bad relationships, start drinking, start shooting up, and start killing themselves so they have a job. And that's what I say about Health and Human Services. The whole Health and Human Service organization is based on recidivism. If you cure somebody, you get them a job, they don't need you. If unemployment drops below 8% in the country, we no longer need Health and Human Service, and they will do everything in their power to make sure it stays above 11% so they have a job. But we're talking about those snake eggs, and we're talking about things like that. I had a choice today between two of the things that I wanted to do. It was going to be I was going to do a thing on Labor Day, and we were going to do that Labor Day. Yes. Well, should I do this? Like this one, like Labor Day. That yeah, I got to do the flex, you know, the wartime girl. I can't remember what her name was. Labor Day. But I decided not to do that. I'd rather talk about Mgtow, and I'd rather talk about Mgtow oriented things. Um, yeah, those snake eggs that we lay in our hives, like, we see this all the time. We see this all the time with we call them the pea beggars out there. I seen two videos this week of some guy coming around, just get back on the boat, Mgtow, and just jump on that horse again, and blah 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 blah. It was men are superior, and it's like, be a superior man and just grab yourself one of those used up women, and you go get yourself one of those, and lower your expectation down to nothing, and you'll have the perfect one. That was so silly. And then he doesn't know the difference. I says, we don't take advice from pea beggars. And that's all I had to say. And then he said it was an ad hominem. And I said, no, it's not an ad hominem if it's true. Jesus. This whole world is screwed up and it's upside down, and no one wants to involve in the truth or anything like that, anything that gets close. Sometimes there's hard facts and hard truths in the world. We call them red pills. That's when you realize something in your life and oh shit, that was painful. You got to go through. That was my last video, was about going through that anxiety and that pain of learning the truth, if in case you didn't realize that. Yeah, these red pills are painful. You swallow one and you get some truth, and that truth is not an ad hominem. Someone's calling you something. If your behavior is bad, and that goes to Joe's paradox too. Simps don't like to be called simps. White knights don't like to be called white knights. Beggars don't like to be called beggars, and thieves don't like to be called corrupt. Cops don't like to be called corrupt cops, and corrupt politicians don't like to be called corrupt politicians. It's just a paradox in this world where when you call out the truth on someone, nobody wants to hear it. Hello, everybody that's around this morning. I'm just doing a short video. Well, short video. It'll turn into, you know me, it'll turn into a long rant on this thing. Don't hold these venomous snake eggs in your head from the beginning. That's what I'm telling you. Clip those things. That's what I had to do, is I had to clip all those things in my life, all those delusional thoughts that were hatching all over the place and leading it to where I wanted to drink myself to death after some of these horrible relationships that I went through in life. Sat there with 3 bottles of whiskey, just tipping them up, and making an excuse of why I was hurting myself. That was the stupidest thing in the whole world. I had to clip those venomous thoughts and go to the root of the problem. Like I say, when you're fixing your bike, if your chain keeps falling off, don't blame it on the chain. It's probably the bearings. It's probably something else that's happened. It's probably the thing that moves it around in there. There's some other problem. Don't blame it on the chain. Don't sit there and yell at the chain. Chain, you're bad. Why are you falling off, man? You got a thought of your own. That's stupid. That's delusional. Fix the problem. Go to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem in Mgtow is most of these men around here have those thoughts in their head, those delusional thoughts that there's going to be some Nawalt. There's going to be some rainbow. The best thing that can happen to you in your life here is you get a little Mgtow, and the only thing that could happen during that mating thing that goes on is you might have a child, and that might be okay, and it might be horrible, and you're going to have to pay child support, and that's it. That's where that thing leads. There's no such thing as love. There's no such thing as these metaphysical happy thoughts that you're going to get. Them are just chemicals coursing through your head, and it's addiction. And that's what we try to explain to these guys, but they have no idea. They're resistant against the idea of truth. Now that's a very interesting thing when you start looking at the lies that they tell themselves. I could tell a Mgtow in a heartbeat. I could tell that a lot of these Mgtows that came around in the last year weren't a Mgtow from the first thing that uttered out of that mouth of theirs when they started lying. Blue pill people lie. They're resistant to the truth. Catch them in a lie. Start doing your rhetorical investigations on what they're saying. But back to the story. I'll go off for an hour on something. I went through this with this young man now, and then when I asked him why he did what he did, he says because he'd been in this relationship and it hurt so bad that he went out and he got drunk and used some heroin and ended up getting another charge, and that's his third one, and that's going to lead to about a year and a half in jail. Hurting yourself over a woman, separation anxiety is, I could show you how to get rid of that in a heartbeat within a few weeks. Nobody ever asks. I say it all the time. Wormwood, walnut oil. Get yourself some penicillin. If you're going through that, don't let it kill you. Alcohol is not going to work. Heroin's not going to work. Taking risky behavior is not going to work. Going out and getting some more drugs to cure the drugs isn't going to work. But I can show you, most Mgtows can show you, live a clean and decent life for about a month and a half, get those bacteria out of your brain, do a flush, and it's over. The separation anxiety. Get out in the woods and go fishing. That's what I say. Get out in the woods and go fishing. Get away from that stuff. But these guys won't listen. That's some crazy stuff. That's crazy to them. They got those delusional thoughts in their head. They're holding on to those snake eggs, and all of them are hatching up there and giving them bad results in life. And somehow they're going to go with that right to the end. Man, oh man, that stuff. Whew. But at a certain point, you got to cut yourself from that. You're going to see this during life, and every one of you guys in here are going to see this during your life. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear it resonate in here, and in these awful comments. These blue pillars come around and they try to justify their actions. You see it in PUA, the justification of the venomous thoughts, and it's horrible, and they're hurting themselves. All of them are dreaming about that special Nawalt, and they start lowering the bar of what their expectations are. Lowered expectations. She's just been hit a few times, a few hundred times. He's willing to look over that. She has no purity. There is no honor. She's not loyal, and they're willing to overlook. We have names for all of these things. They're cucks. They're being cucked. You're simping, you're white knighting, you're begging. And we're all those delusional little thoughts that men go through to justify this, and they lead to the horrible, horrible results in these men's lives. Like I said, 60% of the men in Alcoholics Anonymous do not have drinking problems. They have female problems. Now, when you look on that, if you've been inside of those things, and I know Johnny Midnight has, and I have, you look around and you see inside of those things, and the first thing they start doing is these Sadie Hawkins-like dances, because they know that. They know that 60%. No, you're not allowed to say it. These addictions and these men, they have these Sadie Hawkins dances, and they try to put the men with the woman, the alcoholic and drug addicted men with the alcoholic and drug addicted women, and they force them together, and they start humping like little bunnies in there, and they think that breaking off a chunk of crack and giving them more crack to relieve the anxiety of that addiction is going to help them. And that's their cure in the United States, at least. You start seeing that, and it becomes despicable, and you start questioning the motives of your partners, your companions, the people you live with, the people you work with, the people you respect. You think, oh man, these people are a bunch of morons. You know what would cure 60% of alcoholics in America? Mgtow. Mgtow would cure 60% of the alcoholics in America, because it would remove that addiction from them. But oh, somehow we're the bad people here, because we figured out the cure. Now, for the 40% of other alcoholics that really truly have an addiction to the chemical of alcohol, I feel badly for them. If you want to test that, you take yourself a needle, wrap some thread around the tip of it, take yourself poke 3 holes in your skin, and then dip it in alcohol and poke that 4th hole in your skin there. And if it gets a little red and inflamed, you're allergic to alcohol. That's how you test that. It's a simple allergy. Otherwise, it's all up here. It's all up here. It's an addiction, and it's the same addiction as being addicted to women. It's the same addiction as being addicted to sex or heroin or cocaine or any of those things. And you have to remove those addictions from your life. So that was my little rant today, since I had to witness it from in my life again, over and over and over again. But somehow we're not allowed to tell Mgtow, the world, about Mgtow. Somehow we get censored. Somehow it's better for the world, and it's better for these young men. Our government, our media, the rulers, the authoritarians think somehow it's better for men that they keep going through these awful events in their lives, and when all they really need is a little Mgtow, a little dignity, a little honesty. There's millions and millions of relationships books out there. Not one of them saying the best way to cure yourself and be happy in life would be to get out of all relationships. But that would kill that business. It would kill the divorce business. It would kill the relationship book business, and the self-help book, and the dating coaches would all go away, and the family courts would all go away, and basically health and human services would become with general relief and cost us about 1/10 of what it costs you now, if they would just accept the fact that Mgtow is the cure. And from my life experience, I found that it is. It's addiction. It's 100% addiction, and it's going to lead to horrible behavior, and people get hurt and killed every day because of it. Get rid of that stuff from your life. Mgtow, at least you guys in here, you got a fighting chance in your life. And that's all basically any one of us Mgtow can do. Give men a fighting chance. Get out there and proselyte this thing like their lives depend on it, and some of their lives do depend on it. And when we say we're saving lives, we're not kidding. I'm going to get to watch a young man go to jail this month because he had a bad breakup, because he couldn't get over that, because he started drinking and doing drugs after that, because his girl of 10 years was acting like hypergamous and gynocentrism, and she couldn't hold up to those high expectations that he had. So he kind of lowered those expectations. They lower them. I'll just get a woman of lower quality and lower morality, and that'll cure it. No. The cure is Mgtow, and quit your addiction, and quit breeding snake eggs in her head. No one's going to hear this. No one wants to hear it. Them are the hard truths. Quit being a beggar. Quit being a simp. Your life will get better. My life was at the bottom. Rock bottom. Buddy, a rock bottom. As soon as I took a little Mgtow, within 5 years, it was cured. Wow, that was 15 years ago. A little Mgtow cured all those stupid delusional thoughts in my head. Them are snake eggs getting ready to hatch. They're delusions. They don't work in this real life because they're based on fallacies. And that's all I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to say happy Labor Day. Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. Men, you could be a laborer in this society. That's about this far away from being a slave, but at least you get paid for it. You could be a slave to other things too in your life. You can be a slave to the child support system. You could be a slave to women. You could be a slave to your addiction. My advice is quit being a slave. Quit being a slave to all those things. Take control. Take a little monk in your life and take control of everything. Take control of everything. And that's the message for today. And it's short. I know it's not really short because I ramble on. But quit holding on to snake eggs, those thoughts. There ain't no such thing as no Walt. There ain't no love. There ain't no true unicorn angel women out there. Them are snake eggs that are going to hatch into delusions. And those delusions will get you in trouble every single time, every single time. And I wish the AA community out there would listen. 60% of their problems are not alcohol problems, they're relationship problems. And that's my business. Let me cure it. So love is addiction is bull. Yeah. So with that, don't get addicted to nothing. Don't get addicted to love. Have a great Labor Day. Don't hurt yourself because you're going through some separation anxiety. Talk to a Mgtow. Talk to a real expert on these things. Stop drinking. Stop self-loathing. Go to Mgtow rehab. That's what we should call this. Mgtow rehab. We fix men. Come to Mgtow rehab. Our success rate is 70%. Oh, man. And with that, I'm going to end this thing and have a great holiday, men. Get out there. I got to go to the store, get some burgers because it's custom in my family to cook burgers on a grill on Labor Day so we can celebrate our forced, our voluntary slavery to the work system. And, and, that's it, man. I hope you're going to have a great day. And man, if you see these snake eggs, if you recognize those delusions brewing, and these, just tell them flat out what it is, and don't worry about don't worry about whether they think it's a pejorative or an ad hominem. Just tell them, hey, we don't cater to the pea beggars around here. We don't cater to the white knights. They may think you're insulting them, but it ain't an insult if it's a truth. It's just a hard truth. It's a red pill. Give them out. And that's it, man. That's the message today. Get rid of all those snake eggs. Come into the world of Mgtow. The water is nice over here. The water is nice, let me tell you. I don't go through those things anymore. I don't go through those problems, but I have to witness them with people that I love. And it's hard. It's hard watching a young man ruin his life over a woman. It's hard watching one of these guys that believed in marriage going through the divorce, and he's hit and he's drinking hard, and you wonder if your friend's going to die. It's all addiction, and it's horrible, and we got to cure it. Go hard, Mgtow, at these things. Go hard into them, and don't care about what these people say. You're a meanie. Joe, you're a meanie for saying these things. I'm saving lives. That's it. That's my message. And I hope each and every one of you guys are going to have a great day. And without you, Mgtow wouldn't exist. And thanks a lot every time I'll say it. Thanks a lot for being Mgtow. Mgtow.